right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you or good afternoon. It's almost 1 o'clock. It's definitely not the morning. I just wanted to welcome you to our Where to Grow panel. I am Sara Branch. I am an outreach and marketing specialist, small business administration, and I work closely with our SCORE resource partners with SCORE, SBDC, VBOC, PTAC, West, our Women's Business Center. So I'm so grateful to be on a panel with a handful of our resource partners here. I just wanted to let you guys know that the Small Business Administration is here to help you out. We do our big thing that the SBA does is government contracting. So if you have a product or a resource or offer a service, you have the opportunity to contract with the federal government. Other things that SBA offers right now is we're covering our EIDL repayment webinar, and we're coming to the end of COVID. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Sometimes we still see spikes in COVID numbers, but we have our EIDL loan that has been offered to help small businesses throughout the nation keep their business open and running. Repayments are due. So just this morning, we had our third or fourth EIDL repayment webinar. We have more to come, and you can see those events on our website. Other opportunities that the SBA offers is our Thrive Emerging Leaders program. And this is a 6-month long program. We're coming to the end right now of our class from this year, and graduation will be held in December. But applications for this 6-month long, really, it's a college level business class free to you. It's through the SBA. So that's available to you. Coming up in January, we'll start recruiting and open applications for next 2023 year. We also have an Ascent program, which is a free online learning module, and you can go in and move at your own pace through these business courses through our website, and you just sign up with your email and you get going on that program at your own pace. We also offer information with our resource partners. We have our resource partners and our strategic alliance memorandum partners. So our resource partners are like those on our panel today. We have quarterly meetings where we get together and share information. And our other partners we work with are a lot of the Chamber of Commerce here in New Mexico, like the African American Chamber of Commerce, the Hispano Chamber of Commerce, hopefully the NMDOT here soon. So we're just so grateful to be working in the community and working with you all. So we're going to go into our Where to Grow panel, and we will learn how each organization is helping small businesses navigate in the current business climate. As we were talking about, we're finally coming out of COVID. Hopefully soon in the next couple of years, we'll be able to be with you face to face. And right now it's still virtual, which is great because we're spread out all over the state. So I'm going to go in one by one, and I'm going to have our panelists tell their names, their titles, how their organization assists small business, and how and just a little bit about themselves. So we're first going to start with Adolfo. Adolfo, could you talk about those topics that I just listed?
Yeah, thank you, Sara, and welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Adolfo Vasquez. I'm the New Mexico representative for the National Center of PTAC. New Mexico is so privileged to have two PTACs, Native American PTAC, which is who I represent, and the New Mexico statewide PTAC. Our mission is to assist not only small businesses become contract ready, but also to help agencies find the small businesses. We help with the 3 R's, I call them: registration, reliability, responsibility. You heard from the state folks how important it is to develop your past performance profiles and let people know what you've done. How supportive are you? How financially state are you? We help you put those documents together. What I have found is usually everybody has them, they just haven't put them together in a concise form. We also help with our business partners, making sure you have a business plan a financial plan. Although we don't work on them specifically as a PTAC, our SBDC resource partners, our VBOX and the MBDA folks help you put those together, which will get you to that point. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Adolfo. We work together regularly, so I'm glad that you're here on the panel. So next we have Dominic Mandel. Dominic, will you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Dominic or Nick Mandel, and I'm a volunteer with the SCORE, which as the previous other individual, I forgot his name, but he spelled it out. We're Senior Corps of Reserve Executives. And basically that means is that we're either working or retired people who assist others, small business people, people who want to start a business, entrepreneurs and such. We're a nationwide organization, but we have 3 chapters in New Mexico, and we do receive part of our funding from the Small Business Administration as well, so kudos to them. We offer services that can help you get started. If you're interested in opening a business or what a business plan might be about, we can provide those type of services. We also do one-to-one mentoring, confidential mentoring, which will provide you with the opportunity to talk to experienced, successful business people, what they, on your dilemma, your situation, your challenge in business. We have a number of workshops we do. We both do webinars, and we're again back onto this now. We're hopefully this post-COVID area of going back to live workshops. We just had a couple. We had one yesterday on TikTok, if you know anything about that. So we're a good go-to place for your basic type of business, entrepreneur learning and resource and such. And I would welcome you to look us up, Google Santa Fe SCORE, and we'd love to help you and kind of go through the process of how we can provide assistance and support to you and your business. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. And I also want to let the crowd know that our SCORE Santa Fe has amazing online webinars. We send a lot of our customers over, like you said, even TikTok. I mean, who offers information for free on classes like that? That's wonderful. Hopping back to Adolfo and PTAC, I just want you guys to know, if you're interested in government contracting as well, they will get all your ducks in a row. Make sure you have paperwork and prepared for that. SCORE can help with that as well too, but just wanted to put that on your radar. So next we have Fran. Fran, it's wonderful seeing you again, of course, virtually. Fran Fernandez is from, of course, the New Mexico SBDC. Fran, will you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Sarah. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fran Fernandez, and I proudly serve as director of the Small Business Development Center at Central New Mexico Community College, the SBDC at CNM. The SBDC at CNM was founded, actually, our whole network, I should say, the Small Business Development Center network was founded in 1989, and we serve the small business community throughout the state for over 30 years now. Our center is part of a larger network of 18 small business development centers across our beautiful state of New Mexico, dedicated to serving the needs of small business owners to help start new businesses, to grow existing businesses, and to ultimately stay in business. Our mission is to develop skilled entrepreneurs and strong businesses. The SBDC at CNM serves both startup and existing businesses with no-cost business counseling and training services that include free one-on-one confidential business counseling. We provide technical startup assistance to help new business owners understand the steps to become a legal business in the state of New Mexico. We also offer business and marketing plan assistance, from just getting started to also reviewing completed plans for success. We also discuss available funding options and determine what your next steps would be if that's the area that you want to pursue. My center can also assist with market and industry research, as we have numerous tools that we can use. The SBDC at CNM also provides bilingual counseling to assist all of our clients throughout the state. And we offer no-cost business education trainings to help our clients become those skilled entrepreneurs. The SBDC at CDM proudly serves the small business community within our service areas of Bernalillo and Sandoval counties to help small business owners attain their small business goals. The New Mexico Small Business Development Center Network also provides assistance, like you mentioned, with government contracting through the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, the PTAC program, international trade through the International Business Accelerator Program, the IBA, as well as technology commercialization and intellectual property assistance through our newest center, which is the Technology Commercialization Accelerator Program called the TCA. The New Mexico Small Business Development Center Network is a fully accredited member of America's Small Business Development Centers, the ASBDC. It's a network with over 1,000 small business development centers across the United States. Funding for our program is provided by the New Mexico State Legislature and the United States Small Business Administration. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you, Fran. That was wonderful. And as she said, there's locations all over the state. I think that's one of the most widespread resource partners that we have. So no matter where you're located, they're able to meet you. So next we have Gabriela Marques from the New Mexico MBDA Business Center. Gabriela, will you introduce yourself?
With pleasure. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gabriela Marques. I am the Center Director for, it's a mouthful, and it is agency. So it is the New Mexico Minority Business Development Agency Business Center. And I say that because there are other grantees within the state of New Mexico. Like we were just informed actually today that the Indian American Arts Institute in Santa Fe was awarded funds to continue their certification program. So anyways, we are the New Mexico Minority Business Development Agency Business Center, and federally, this agency is under the U.S. Department of Commerce, and also very exciting, it was always a temporary agency in the sense that we always had to get Congress to approve funds, and just in 2021, MBDA became a permanent agency under Commerce. So that's really exciting. We're here to stay. Yay! And so MBDA was first started in late 1960s, and it has had presence in New Mexico for many decades. This new award, which the city of Albuquerque applied, and they are the operator, so they help us with all the fiscal, and like logistics, operational, administrative section. But the center is located here in Albuquerque in the Barelas neighborhood. Actually, we lease office at the Hispano Chamber, and it's really beautiful because it is a collaboration between many of the resources. So just in my hall, we have SBDC, and we also have PTAC, and then we have the MBDA. So it's a really easy collaboration where there's a business that comes to us and they're able to consult with many resources all at once. So what do? We support minority-owned companies within the state of New Mexico and beyond. Even though it says New Mexico, we don't actually have geographical boundaries. And I say that because sometimes we have businesses that have operations in Colorado, Arizona, and Texas, and we're happy to support them anyways. So we are a part of a national network. There's over 41 business centers across the country at this moment, which is really exciting. They've been growing in number every year. And to support businesses with access to capital, supporting businesses with access to new markets, supporting business with access to opportunities. So a lot of government contracting and private contracting, which I'm assuming that's why everyone is here in this conversation today. And of course, capacity building. So we do a lot of one-on-one sessions, a lot of webinars, and we also support businesses to go engage with other resources in the community and get those resources. So that's a little bit of what we do. Maybe I'll just mention as well that our business center in particular is unique, which we are very proud of because from the beginning, we wanted to make sure that we had a collaboration with other local entities. So our business center, we have a collaboration with West, Hispano Chamber of Commerce, the African American Chamber of Commerce, and Arrowhead at New Mexico State University. And that allows us for more reach of business owners, of course, but we recognize that we can't do everything on our own. So we need to have local partners that are able to also deliver webinars and activities and procurement series and sprints with businesses throughout the state. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Gabriela. She brought up such a good point, and it's that a lot of our organizations, especially here today, are all interconnected. So if someone doesn't know the answer, we know someone who does. So we work very closely. It's a collaboration, and that's why we're all here today. So next is Steve Hogan from the New Mexico PTAC. Steve, will you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Steve Hogan. I've been with PTAC for just about 5 years now. I'm a 30-year retiree from the United States Air Force, where I spent a lot of time actually working with the Defense Contract Management Agency. And for a while there was actually a contracting officer as well. Worked for a lot of other different departments within the agencies within the DoD, but DCMA was one that gave me a really clear insight into this type of work that we're doing today with PTAC. So PTAC stands for the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. I recently gave a presentation. I got all the way to the last slide when someone asked me, what does PTAC mean? So I try to get that in up front. We are one of about 95 PTACs in the country. We're part of a nationwide network. Here in New Mexico, we have one office, one PTAC. Our fearless leader is Teresa Rivera, a retiree out of New Mexico Economic Development Department. And we have procurement analysts, our procurement advisors like myself in Albuquerque at the CNM Workforce Training Center, which is where Letha and I are located. We also have one member who works out of the Hispano Chamber in downtown. We have a young lady who works out of Las Cruces, New Mexico, with the at Dona Ana Community College, and then another at Clovis Community College who works right alongside with the Small Business Development Center there. And then finally, our newest member, Mr. Gillis Lang, who is working out of the Higher Education Center in Santa Fe, serving northern New Mexico. Basically, we are a free service. We're funded on a grant from the Department of Defense and a matching grant from the state of New Mexico. And with those two grants combined, we're able to support any and all businesses in New Mexico and those outside of New Mexico who are trying to do business here in their efforts to secure government contracting at whatever level. So we work with all the federal departments, all the state departments, cities, counties, schools, colleges, universities, you name it. We offer confidential one-on-one counseling. We offer workshops. We offer training programs. Some of the specifics, for example, registration in government databases. You've heard talk about SAM, the System for Award Management. That is our biggest challenge right now. We're in there every single day with clients, multiple clients every day, but we're getting them through. Like Tom mentioned earlier, what used to take an hour, or in some cases even a half an hour, is now taking people days or weeks to get through because of some of the checks and balances that have been imposed in that system since the COVID outbreak, and a lot of people trying to file false claims and things like that, that have now required the government to vet companies way more formally and thoroughly than we did before COVID. We also help you with marketing to the government, things like capability sheets, how to respond to RFPs and RFQs, set aside certifications. We work with the Service Disabled Veteran Owned Business Verification, going to be a certification program in January, 8A program, HubZone, Woman-Owned Small Business, all those different certifications, all of our analysts, our advisors are able to assist with. So we do a lot more. We do a lot of training. We do offer government to business outreach events. We've got one coming up next week with big business here at CNM. We've got one coming up December 1st with the federal government agencies that are going to participate. So if you're registered with us and you're signed up for our emails, you'll learn about all of those things. If you're not registered with us, nmptac.org is the place to go. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate all you for being here today, and we'll go right into the questions. So my first question is for Fran or Dominic. With inflation being so high and persistent, what practical steps might small business owners take to limit the potential negative impact on their businesses?
Okay.
Fran, or I can, we both have thoughts, so let me let you go first.
Oh, okay, sure thing. Thank you, Dominic. So like as business owners are dealing with inflation, as it continues to skyrocket, small business owners can look at different ways on how to protect their small businesses from these pressures by doing just some simple things, right? Analyzing their financials, maybe cutting any unnecessary expenses when and where it's possible in the business. Small businesses may consider prioritizing their cash flow, focus on covering bills before anything else. Streamlining, automating their processes. For example, in working with some of our clients, we found that reorganizing a company's warehouse led to becoming more efficient and saving money for the business. Those are just a few things. I don't want to jeopardize the time. Go ahead, Dominic, if you like to continue on.
Well, I was just going to say ditto, Fran.
Oh, okay.
No, but I'll also add, we've all heard of zero-based budgeting, right? Well, think of your businesses in that respect. Look at every aspect of your business and say, where are the expenses going to? Where's the cash flow coming from? Where's my supply chain risk? What can I do to focus on employee retention? Look at every aspect of your business with the thinking that, hey, this can change. What happens if it changes? How can I minimize my risk to any number of these situations occurring? And, as the panelists have said, we hope this is a post-COVID feel. We're getting back into a new normal, but even the new normal is not going to be the new normal. It's going to be a different normal. And that's going to include the expenses and how we conduct business and such. And it might be new expenses here, new other factors that we hadn't accounted for, but it's just a new world. So I would just jump off of Fran's comments that this is gonna, you have to look at your expenses and be aware of what you have and what you can do with it.
Absolutely. And Dominic, I like the point that you also said to focus on employee retention, because as we know, it's a tough time for small business owners. Losing employees during this time can be quite costly, right, in the long run. So really looking at keeping those employees, as obviously, and of course that hiring of new employees can be costly. The training and just getting new folks in place and just finding new people, right? I mean, I know that a lot of small business owners are struggling just to find new employees during this time.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I know in our Thrive Emerging Leaders program, one of the biggest thing I hear from our business owners is how do they get new employees? They're having issues with the hiring process, and it's a new world. That's exactly it. Like Dominic was saying too, it's a new world, and being prepared is so important. And you guys answered that wonderfully. So thank you so much. Awesome. So our next question is for Gabriela and again, Fran. So with climbing interest rates and changes in lending practices, how should small business owners ready themselves when they need capital for operations, equipment, et cetera?
Yeah, that's a great question, and when I saw that question, I'm really hoping that business owners took advantage of the lower rates that happened just in the past couple of years, right? There was a lot of great, Idle was providing great offerings, of course, lots of lenders as well at lower rates. But of course, that was not the reality for a lot of businesses. And we've actually seen that during COVID, lots of new businesses have sprouted, come about, like realizing what are new needs. So one thing that I would highly encourage as interest rates are increasing is for businesses not to take the first offer that they get. I know it can be very difficult because you might be in a pinch and you might need to purchase an equipment or, purchase real estate right away because your operations are growing. But the more that you can foresee, if you already know then, for example, 6 months from now, you're going to have a need, for example, purchasing equipment, start, investigating and talking to lots of lenders, because it takes time. They will have to look at your financials, especially the larger the business capital needs might be. And that way you have time to compare. And many times banks and lenders, if you get a lower rate from one, you can kind of like show that to the other lender and they're able to kind of adjust those rates. So just taking your time, if possible, of course, to compare. And there's lots of options with different lenders. So feel free to reach out to me, and I'm sure lots of other resources here in the panel that, traditional banks are not the only option for lenders. There's lots of alternative lenders. There's lots of different options. Of course, SBA has lots of options for loans as well for businesses. And then there's lots of different programs, even from the state, for example, that you can receive funds back, for example, if you're thinking about commercial real estate.
Thank you.
Gabby, I mean, that's basically where I was going to go with that. Small business owners really need to prepare themselves in order to grow that business, right? So looking, like you say, different funding options to help them obtain that capital that they may need, looking at working capital, purchasing new equipment, maybe real estate. But I think what's really important is really, again, reviewing your business finances, really having those books in order. It's so key. Making sure those taxes are all up to date, everything's caught up, all payments are being paid on time, because of course this can potentially affect their credit score, which can negatively affect them if they're looking to apply for a small business loan. Really looking at that preparation process, like you said, this is the time to slow down, get everything in order. And of course, working with folks here on the panel, that's what we do. We work with small business owners. We look what funding options are available, assessing what options are best for you, because not one option is good for everyone, right? Everyone's a little bit different. Every business owner has a little different situation. So we can sit down and talk to folks and really assess what their needs are and have that clear picture of how much money are they really seeking, and what's that purpose that you're needing those monies for, that capital for. We do encourage you to come. Obviously, the SBDC is always available to help, and like other organizations here on the panel, looking at that business plan, because every small business owner, they want to see what's that plan, what does that business plan look like, what are the operations plan, what are those performance, those projections look like as that vital piece of obtaining and applying for that small business loan.
Yes. Oh, Fran, you brought up such a good point that our lender relations specialist, Shelly Brown, does webinars on how to secure that business loan. And one of her big talking points is that you have to, and I've said this before, make sure your ducks are in a row, because if you want that bank to take interest and secure that loan, and you have paperwork messed up or your business plan isn't 100%, tight, they're probably going to say no. And when SBDC offers free resources and the MBDA offers free resources, take advantage of it. They're there to help. And another thing that Gabriela brought up was you don't have to go to the traditional big banks. Online, SBA has a lender match, and you can type in your zip code and it brings up all kinds of lenders, from the little tiny lenders to the big lenders too. And they know who you can work with. We all have special relationships with these lenders, and we go to conferences with them. We have meetings with them. You can reach out at any time too. And even at the SBA, we have a lender relations specialist, Shelly Brown, who knows each and every one of these lenders and can point you to the right direction. And our resource partners, again, have that fluid relationship with each other. So please take advantage of that and make sure your business plan is airtight too. So thank you both. Those were amazing answers. I appreciate that. So up next, this is for Steve and then Adolfo. As a small business owner looks to grow their business, how do they expand in government contracting?
I'll go ahead and start on that. I've got in my mind 3 things pop in my mind. Number 1 is networking. If they're trying to expand, they've got to get out there and network. Events like the one we're on today is a good start, but also when we have these outreach events where we bring in government representatives who talk about their programs and their needs, we encourage our small business clients to show up for these, because it gives them a chance to get to meet the buyer or the contracting officer in a one-on-one setting. Prior to COVID, we had great turnout. We had large groups that would show up for these. Then we went through the COVID phase where we were doing them by Zoom. It slowed it down a little bit, but now we're picking up again and we're back into one-on-ones in person. That's a great way to network. But then my second point is, no matter how much networking you're doing, if you're not keeping your registrations and certifications up to date, it's not going to do you any good, because you have to maintain your SAM account. That's first and foremost for any federal work. And if you let that lapse, it can take you weeks to get it back even with our help, because there are a lot of things that are going on in the background now in terms of doing checks and balances. So don't let it lapse. Same thing with your certifications. If you're certified as a veteran service disabled veteran-owned small business and you let that lapse and you're trying to get work with the VA, it's not going to happen if you're not in their database. So and similar things are going to be more prevalent, I think, as we go forward, because now the women-owned small business and the economically disadvantaged women-owned small business certifications have gone formal. The VA verifications are going to go formal with the SBA starting in January. And it's going to go way beyond just the VA for that. All federal agencies are going to start looking to those databases for veteran certifications. And then finally is marketing, and we help people every day with their capability sheets. We've got many, many hundreds of examples that we share with them on, don't copy somebody's, but just look at layouts, look at information that's presented, keep it simple. And that's what we tell them. And we're happy to review those, critique them, and work with the clients on getting those in order. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve. Adolfo,
Following up with Steve, and everything that he's mentioned is spot on. The other thing that I followed, and I'll add to that, it's an old cliche, you follow the money. I looked at Bloomberg government reporting, which is kind of what I kind of look at the litmus. Having been a contracting officer and working out the Office of Management and Budget prior, similar to Steve in my prior life, I understand that that's kind of where the funding is. It's great to know how to fish, but you also got to know where the fish are. This is kind of just some quick numbers for you all, and this I'll add the forecast for 2023. And this is mandatory spending. Understand mandatory. The Congress has given the feds money to spend, and they don't want any of it back. 3.7 trillion is the 2023 budget of mandatory spending. Of that, currently now, almost 900 billion, almost a third of that is government contracting. Now, fine. Where is in the government? Well, a lot of it is trending in the small business spending, and Bloomberg has sent a report out. I'll see if Tom can send it out to you all. The small business spending requirement of 23% has kind of remained flat. So that's kind of okay. Uncle Sam's spending money with small businesses, but that's not where the growth is. Multi-year contracting. Other transactional agreements have gone up by 18 to 20%. So you look at the numbers on that report, it goes to $21 billion increase in multi-year contracting, 18 billion in other transactional agreements. There's a new class called best-in-class contracting. Now, behind the curtain in the land of Oz where contracting officers work, those things mean these are the folks that I'm looking for to give contracts to. Yes, I'm going to give contracts to small businesses, but these other instruments are what I'm utilizing. So as you get into getting your ducks in a row and making sure that you're eligible, you got to look also is what instruments and what are they? If all of those terms were Greek to you, you need to see us. So we can explain to you what an OTA is. What is a best in class? What is a multi-year contract? How do I get into that arena? And that's the other side of the coin. Besides being ready, I want to go fishing in a lake that has fish.
Yeah, great. And you brought up a good point, Adolfo. There are so many acronyms, terms going on in the government contracting world that can seem overwhelming and intimidating. Go to the people who know what that means. So when you're looking up information online or something comes up along your process and in the road to government contracting, make sure you've already established that rapport and those relationships with these members, because they know what it takes. They know what these words mean. And that way it's not as overwhelming, and they can take some of that heat off of that big curtain of government contracting and all that goes with it. And Steve brought up a really good point as well. There are starting to be more and more events. Before COVID, we had a lot of in-person events, and now we switched to Zoom. but we're starting to come out of that again. Recently, we had a PTAC event over downtown Albuquerque with contracting with the Navy, and that was a great event. And we had someone from the U.S. Navy come and talk about government contracting, and we had about 40 people there at that event, and it was a great in-person event to just reach out and network, because networking and building rapport is just the biggest part of government contracting. I'll say this again, but you're not alone. Go ahead, Adolfo.
One more final comment, and I think I'll sum it up with this. You've heard that New Mexico has resource partners. I can't tell you how important that is. My clients come in and says, if I belong to Native American PTAC, do I have to go? Can I belong to New Mexico PTAC? Can I belong to MB? Yes. You should have every one of your resource partners as a consultant, because we know who is the subject matter expert. For example, Steve spent a ton of his time in his prior life being cost and price analyst. Tell me about what is the price I should charge the government. I used to just go to guys like Steve to tell me as a contracting officer, what should it cost? So you've got a lot of wealth of information and different folks. And we know all of the folks throughout the state. You know, Karen down south with New Mexico PTAC did a lot of work with city contracting. She was the chief of city contracts for Las Cruces. Who better to understand how cities buy than her? You're not going to get it from me, but I'm going to refer you to her if that's your bailiwick. So get all of us on your radar.
Yes. Oh, perfect. You summed that up perfect. Thank you both, Steve and Adolfo. That was wonderful. So up next, this is for Fran and Dominic. So staff recruitment and retention is a real challenge today. What are some best practices in this area?
Fran,
Well,
would you?
Sure, I'd be happy
Please.
to. I'll start it off and you jump in, okay? So, as we all know, small business owners are facing that real challenge of hiring and retaining employees today more than ever. Finding and keeping good employees requires thinking behind, the traditional salaries and benefits. Some best practices, include like invest in your employees' careers. As more people are having more choices on who they choose to work for these days, it's important to think of providing more than a job to your employees, but maybe a career path where they can grow professionally within your organization, creating those pathways for growth. Focusing on our managers, as they are connected to the employees, this can be a window into why you're experiencing staff shortages or disruptions with your staff. You may need to consider improving your organizational culture, recognizing employee contributions, offering, you may want to consider offering special perks or bonuses that may not always be related to more money, right? You may want to think about more non-monetary incentives like additional time off, some kind of company-wide recognition, things like that. Things like that. Just reassessing the compensation, making sure you're offering a competitive wage in the industry. Those are just some few best practices that I can think of. Dominic, go ahead and jump on in.
Yes, Fran, I agree with everything you said. It's going to be very challenging times, I think, given what I've encountered when, I kind of read and research a little bit on this topic. And one of the pieces that comes up is this issue of transparency, and the transparency in employee benefits and the perks and the salaries and all these little factors that an employee in an organization may have. You've heard the comment perhaps that employers have to give away everything now to attract and retain employees. It's the table has definitely turned, where employees are in the best position now, for now anyway. We'll see where this goes, because if this new recession materializes, then it's going to be a whole different, chapter out there, a whole new scenario. But what I don't think is going away is this transparency. The fact that individual employees now, as you said, Fran, can look at the culture of an organization, and does it fit for me? And do I want to work here? And do I like working here? And do I want to stay here? And not only that, but they're going to have the options of saying, well, okay, I'll stay here, but maybe I'll do this quiet quitting you've heard about, or I'll just do the minimum type of piece that work that I have to do. So it's going to be a difference in both employer and employee relations, and in the fact that employees have access to so much more information now on anything about whether it's the company, what they do, what they don't do, their positions on whatever controversial issue may be out there. Employees have just a little bit more, I guess, power, so to speak, as far as, do I want to be with this company? Do I want to be with this small business? Do I want to be with this organization? And it's going to be, I think, very just a different paradigm with employee and employer relations, and how the best of small business keeps the employees they want to keep and to be successful.
Oh, yes, that was such a good point. And to that as well, we talk about our resource partners in the SBA, like government contracting. Make sure your numbers, your paperwork, your business plan is together. But what about the more fluid information, like how to keep my employees happy, retain them, hire new ones? Our resource partners can help with the relationship side of being a business owner, because that's a huge part of it. Once you get that loan approved, once you get that business up and running, you got to make sure that the relations are well taken care of. Maybe it's with HR too, or those little perks. What can I offer my new employees? So our resource partners are a huge help for that as well. So thank you both for your answers.
And, Sarah,
Go
just
ahead, Fran.
before you do go on, something also, of course, prioritizing that work-life balance, the number one reason why people leave their jobs, right? I mean, is not having that work-life balance. The pandemic created this shift, right, in the workers' minds, where they started thinking about, like what Dominic said about, why am I here? What's keeping me here? And, they start thinking about what maybe other options, right? Maybe incorporating like a flex work type situation, or maybe a remote work from home, right? Because maintaining that healthy work-life balance is important. It's important for our workers' health. It's important for the businesses also, but it can really improve that employee productivity. And of course, ultimately their performance on the job. So also keeping that in mind as well.
And if I may add, Fran,
Please.
the hybrid work or the remote work, there's questions of how applicable it might be. I'm sure for some of the people participating in this, you can't hybrid or do remote work if you're working construction, or some of this work requires you have to be physically present. But back to that transparency issue, if certain employees cannot work hybrid or cannot work remote, they know that others are, perhaps, and you're going to have to make accommodations in some manner. I'm thinking of the corporate level now, and I'm thinking about the benefits piece, where they had a number of corporations that began to offer very generous benefits to parents who during COVID, for the obvious reasons. They had, all these programs and financial reimbursements, and again, we're talking big corporate world, but here's the rub. What happened is that the employees who did not have children, whether because they were a lifestyle issue or they were older or whatever, they saw all these benefits that this other set of employees were getting, and were saying, well, what about us? Is there some type of compensation or some type of factor you can consider for that? So whatever your business may be, I think that transparency factor is going to be there, because people are going to see, well, these people have these benefits, and maybe I can't have it because I work in the field, I work construction, but what about us? Is there some type of stabilizer or equalizer? I think that's going to be something that all employees are going to be more aware of, and employers, are going to have to acknowledge.
Yeah. Yeah, that is it. And two, I feel like we could talk about this for a whole hour, because this is what we've been in for the past 2 or 3 years too. So you guys have brought up some amazing points, and now I'm going to turn to the whole panel as we finish in our final question. So we'll just go down the line, so hop in when you can. But as 2023 nears, what is one piece of advice you can offer small business owners to be ready to succeed?
Maybe I'll start because I feel like we're all going to say similar things.
Sure.
We're all going to add to each other.
Yeah.
But one thing I would say for small businesses is like, don't stop learning. You know, you have to keep asking questions. And I think lots of, Stephen mentioned that, Adolfo mentioned that, it's just like, keep going to networking events and conferences and reaching out to the resources that are in this panel, but lots of them that are not here today, like the chambers of commerce, go promote yourself, because I think the moment that you realize, oh, I've got enough work, then it's going to be 3 months and you don't have a pipeline coming down. So just, keep learning and asking questions.
I think that's great, Gabby. I'm just going to piggyback on what you said. Of course, my piece of advice, don't do it alone, right? So, the SBDC at CNM, everyone here on the panel are all trained professionals. We're available to assist you with your business needs. We want you to succeed, and we really want you to be able to attain those business goals for yourself. So please reach out to us, learn more about how we can help you. We all work together in the community, like Sara said, and, we're all focused on helping you be successful. So please use us. That's what we're here for.
I'd like to add, just don't forget about your people. People are the only way you get the job done. They equate to labor hours and getting a product out the door. And without that, you don't have any revenue. Without revenue, you can't keep your business going.
A lot of the businesses that succeeded during COVID did so because their requirements or their need for their equipment or their material contract performance passed, so they pivoted. My advice and I give this, and this isn't new, this has been forever, is it's not what you're selling, it's what is the government buying. And I know that is kind of hard for a construction guy says, I don't do windows, but can you? And there are many of an example where a business has pivoted, especially if you see where are the fish. When I go fishing, I don't just take one hook. I switch out because I'm out in the middle of the lake and I find that there's bass out there. I need to go to worms, or I need to go, and you should be able to do that with your business. If you don't know how, come see us. We can fill your tackle box with ideas of how to pivot and get contracts.
Awesome, thank you. Steve, did you want to chime in, or did you already go?
No, I already said what I had.
I think we got everyone. Thank you so much. I guess my final piece of advice would to be network. Get out here. You're here virtually. We commend you for being here virtually because it does take time out of your busy business day. But if you find even national events to go to, if you find local events to go to, it's worth your time. It's worth your resources. Time is money. So this is a very valuable resource for you to be here networking, making relationships, and don't be afraid to bother people. If you find someone who's willing to pick up the phone or respond to an email, bother them until you get what you need done. We're here for you, and we're here to spend time with you. So don't be afraid of bothering anyone. You bug them until you get your answer. You're on mute, Thomas.
You'd think by the end of the day I'd learn this, but it's a great segue because I'm going to bother all of you. We had a few questions in our Q&A. I'll just throw them out and whoever wants to take them. One said, can someone help me sift through all of the RFPs and to find the ones that are right for me or fit me?
Absolutely. That's what we do.
Okay, perfect. And then Tom asked, do you have any software or tools to help me with that zero-based budgeting? So somebody brought up zero-based budgeting. I think, does someone have software or tools that helps with budgeting?
I mentioned it, but these guys probably have Adolf. Looks like
There are, again, when you come to see us, and I'm going to give some credit here, About 12 years ago, I met a gentleman by the name of Leroy Pacheco with the Loan Bank. And he had this form he gave us. He says, if you don't meet these 9 criteria, don't bother to come into my office. And I thought it was kind of harsh for him, but when I looked at those things, and we basically have some of those, and when you go into zero-based budgeting, we don't help you develop your business plan. That's SBDC stuff. That's MBDA stuff. What we do is look at it and say, does it fit a federal procurement set? And if not, here's where you need to go. So even though we don't have a software that one size fits all, we have some of the DCAA input and stuff that looks at it and say, yes, you can. And this is what you need, or no, you're going to have to go back to the SBA and augment. So the short answer is yes, we can help you. The long answer is no, there is no one size fits all software, as Steve will tell you. When you do a cost analysis on a contract, they're all different. There's not a cookie cutter.
You know, all I know, Adolfo, I'm glad to hear that, because in the past you told me just don't come to my office, Tom. So I don't know what that was about. Fran, I think the SBDC also has some tools. You guys have Profit Mastery, I think, if somebody wants to learn things, and Profit Sense for background. You have some financial tools that people are struggling with budgeting as well, right?
Yeah, I think a little different. I think they had used those in the past, so we don't have those at this time, but we do have some other tools that we can definitely have folks with. Absolutely.
Great. And then we had one more question out there. How do I find out if I might be able to provide services on tribal lands?
Interesting. We have access. Sovereign nations have contracts. Navajo, all of our pueblos, all of your tribal governments get pass-through government contracts. So come see us. Even though we don't have a network or a place where they go in and like we do with the New Mexico DOT or any other organizations, like the feds that have websites where you can go and do your forecasts. There are organizations within these pueblos, contracting directorates, et cetera, that we can put you in contact to call them and find out what does the Navajo Nation have as far as construction, janitorial, et cetera. What does Cochiti or Sandia have, and we can put you in contact with those people.
Perfect. And I know that we have a couple companies on that might also have products, and Fran, I think the SBDC also has export support services for anyone who can look in that direction. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, might interest all of you. We did some fun polls earlier during a break, and we asked one of them what to rank their challenges for 2023, and the 3 leaders were building new relationships, staffing, and capital. So I'm looking at a screen full of people who can help with all of that. Now, another poll said, if you had capital, if you had some extra money, what would you do with it? Number 1 answer was buying new equipment, followed by hiring staff and increasing marketing. And for those of you in the capital side, did I get it right? At buying new equipment? I think, Sarah, that maybe that's a 504 loan if we're talking about larger equipment. Is that the type of loan that would be?
Yes, and we offer a number of different loans on our website. It goes through each one for funding opportunities. There's like microloan, 504, 7A, and it goes from real estate to buying equipment to updating your office, and maybe you just need new furniture now you're back in person. So there's a couple different of those opportunities, and more details are all on our website. But if you prefer to talk to a human, which I do, because the website can be overwhelming, just give us a call and we'll be able to walk through those with you.
Now, I do have to say, I wouldn't take these polls with a grain of salt, because we also asked about the favorite Halloween treat. And I don't know what's wrong with this audience, but they chose candy corn. I'm thinking that's a little off. So what can you say? But thank you all so much. I don't think we have any other questions. Sarah, you were just an amazing moderator, and all the panelists. It's good to see all of you. And thank you for spending time with us today. We'll let you go. There's some clapping floating up on the screen, so people appreciated what you had to say.